Perfect. So welcome all everyone to yet another PTC Talks, where we are super excited today by having David from Visionaries 777 here again, actually for the second time, and now for a session on can digital twins and augmented reality unlock financial benefits. But first, just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Torbjörn Peterson, and I'm the Alliance Manager for PTC in the Nordics, and we are running all these webinars on Fridays every week, same time, but we also invite customers and partners for some inspiration on digital transformation to see what is possible and how to make things happen. And all the past webinars have also been recorded and also be found on the registration site. And the agenda for today is first a very quick overview about PTC by myself. Then David will run the show by introducing himself, touch base on a few challenges, how to address these, and then explain some of the business outcomes. And at the end, we are also having a Q&A session, so keep your questions to the end, or you could also put them in the chat and we will pick them up later on. So next slide, David. Thank you. So PTC is just a global software company with a headquarters in Boston, and we are providing market-leading solutions on IoT, augmented reality, PLM, SLM, ALM, and CAD through the digital thread to help companies to accelerate their digital transformation. So now over to you, David, and show is yours.
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Sorry, everyone. I think my camera doesn't work. We had technical difficulties, but you'll see me later. So thanks everyone for attending. Thanks to the PTC team for organizing this. I'll start with a going back in time, 2006, when the Motorola Razr was the most popular phone in the planet. Elf.me was the most popular website in the world. A young startup under the name of Facebook was launching their websites, and my choices of hairstyle were not the best, but we have to acknowledge the past. Now, at the same time, 2006, this is what augmented and mixed reality looked like. So these are my business partners, Nico on the left with this hilarious QR code on his head, and Franz on the right hacking his own hardware with mixed reality. Is extraordinary. They were really pioneers on this topic. There are very few people in the world exploring what back then looked like spatial computing and mixed reality and augmented reality. So yeah, these are two of my best friends and business partners. I'm the lucky guy who gets to show all the cool things they develop with our colleagues. 17 years later, fast forward to 2023, we are now looking at a future where Vision Pro are going to be launched next year. People are going to completely change the way that they interact with the physical world. This is a quick demo that we built showing what e-shopping will be, e-commerce will be in the future. As Tim Cook put it, simply put, we believe augmented reality is going to change the way we use technology forever. And we are completely in agreement with that statement. Now, when implementing XR within any organization and the strategy, when I ask my clients, most of the times you would think that they say it's hardware limitations, software limitations, or budget or pricing. The reality is that what I've come to realize over the last 13 years of working in the industry is the mindset. The technology is there. If you look at technology companies like PTC, software developers like ourselves, hardware companies like Microsoft, we do have hardware, or Apple with iOS devices. The main challenge is mindset, I believe. And so how can we address this topic? Now, we've been on a broad spectrum of solutions working with PTC. So, many years ago, we started working with Vuforia on how to implement real-time IoT data visualization tools on physical objects, where you could overlay data, have anyone with any language through iOS devices or a HoloLens learn how to do maintenance on a machine, or how do you train people by scanning a physical car with an iPhone or an iPad, and we overlay 3D content. So this is, let's say, the most advanced and avant-garde topics that we've been looking at. However, we've come to realize that not every client has huge budgets like a Nissan or a BMW or a Cartier, which are our clients. And so we wanted to figure out with PTC if there were any ways that we could bring more affordable solutions that were not that highly technical. And we think that the solution is combining three things: real-time 3D, spatial computing, and XR into one. And we believe you can do digitalization without always having to use sensors, for example. Now, one of the key components of this is the enabler LiDAR scanners, digital twins. So we believe the easiest way now to get into XR is by using digital twins and overlaying real-time data, which could be, let's say, ThinkWorks data, for example, or 3D content on this physical world. But again, we don't need to always think about smart glasses. And so from our point of view, we believe that we have to start with onboarding and training people, and then offering the supervisors the ability for them to manage those staff remotely from anywhere in the world through augmented or mixed reality. The challenge that many of our clients have, whether you have one factory, multiple factories, one retail location or multiple locations, pharmacies, gyms, it doesn't matter. All of these are operated by low-skilled and high-skilled workers, actually. Every one of these locations requires operations teams, maintenance teams, security teams, and cleaning teams. What we have been seeing over the years is that the way that these people are onboarded within the organization, or they're trained, is following quite archaic models where you're still training people face-to-face, which can be quite expensive. It distracts existing staff and is very time-consuming in overall. And sometimes it lacks digital trails. And then once people have been trained or onboarded, they are following paper checklists to ensure that their work is being done. So the question is, starting from this principle, any employee starting to work in any organization, regardless of budgets, could they use AR and mixed reality within their onboarding process and eventually follow-up processes? We do think it is possible right now. So what we have been working on with PTC, that we're very happy to announce, is a system where all of you have a very easy to use web portal and a 3D virtual world and an app. Now, the beauty of this is that you are becoming, as clients or companies, independent from us. You don't need to leverage our skill set as developers to always develop XR experiences, which is, I think, we think is very key, right? Can you deploy these XR strategies without having to call a developer every time, like, I want to change the interface, I want to add new products? This is the vision of these kind of technologies. So, as I said, one of the best things about the world right now is that you can actually create digital twins of physical spaces with not off the shelf, but let's say scanners that you can buy anywhere. So this is one scanner from a company called Navis in Munich, phenomenal. It's an industrial scanner, but yeah, you can literally walk around and create your digital twin. Or you can even work with Matterport cameras, where you can create a scan of the physical world that doesn't take very long. Once you scan the physical world, or by the way, sorry, the last one is if you have a small retail space, we're considering, imagining a 7-Eleven, 77,000 locations worldwide. Could even they use AR in the future? And the answer is yes. Once you scan your location with either one of these 3 devices, you have now digital twin visualizers online, where you could create training and maintenance routines for any one of your staff, regardless of skill level. And that's all you need to do. Once you assign this to an employee, all they need to do is, in this case, they'll be wearing the smart glasses, catering to HoloLens 2 is what we've done so far, which we think is the most advanced piece of hardware in the market. And the system will tell them at 9 a.m., John, come here, do A, B, C, and D, and just follow the instructions in your native tongue. We can do this digitalization and remotely manage this employee without the need for installing a single sensor within the infrastructure. So we can effectively digitalize a whole infrastructure with, let's say, 150 employees in a factory without installing Bluetooth beacon sensors, and we think that's quite powerful. We already have, many of our clients, of course, as we talked about, will not be buying $3,000 or $4,000 US smart glasses in the market. And so we wanted to make it more accessible. So these systems, it's quite extraordinary, can work on any AR kit or any AR core device, whether it's a tablet or a phone. That's very, very empowering for most clients, right? Because many clients already use, for example, iPhones in their organizations or Android devices to execute simple tasks to a certain level, which are already digitalized. But this really means that you can enable augmented reality for any employee with any smartphone in any environment. The greatest thing is, of course, as I said, that these systems are becoming so affordable. We're talking about right now 350 to 400 euro for one restaurant, unlimited number of users, unlimited number of checklists, where anyone can remotely manage their staff. In this case, this is Domino's Pizza. The employee is instructed to make sure they switch on the oven at a certain time, make sure they take a picture of the food temperature for insurance purposes, make sure they take a picture if there's something wrong within the environment. And all of this is done in a self-guided manner. The employee does not need to be trained. We are seeing retail experiences like 7-Eleven, and I'm showing you this because I think it really shows the democratization of these kind of systems. These are not extremely complex environments, but even they are using this to show the employee the layout so they can, instead of memorizing what needs to be displayed and how it needs to be displayed, with a simple phone, with a digital twin, they can be guided from one place to another and shown what needs to be done within a certain period of time. We're seeing an uptick now in even luxury brands. These are very traditional, historic brands. These are legacy brands. So they definitely take their time making decisions, but now they see the value of training their staff to make sure that they learn the history of a product. So if I'm selling a 50,000 euro watch, as a salesperson, I need to make sure that I tell the story, the right story to the person who's going to be buying that watch. And all of these can be done now with this kind of softwares. This is one of the largest digital twins in the planet. This is an office building, shopping mall, and train station, 108 floors, 274,000 square meters of digital twin. The clients, they bought themselves a camera. It took them less than a week to scan the whole building. And currently, all the security, maintenance, and cleaning staff are being remotely managed with HoloLens to be trained. They're trained with HoloLens, and then their daily jobs are executed with phones. So we effectively, within less than a 3-week period, digitalize the infrastructure for more than 50 people to be able to be trained and remotely managed with this kind of software. We're seeing now companies in the hospital and health, and so these are hospital authority. Nurses are being trained with the system. And the reason why I'm showing this example is because this is a life or death situation. Nurses need to, and they're under a lot of pressure, by the way, they need to prepare a surgical room or some kind of special area where there's going to be a surgery. It could be, a mother giving birth to a child, or it could be a knee surgery or brain surgery. Every scenario requires different equipment. Of course, under so much stress, maybe they forget these kind of things, or maybe they make a mistake. With the system, they're really guided step by step and ensuring that they are executing all the tasks. Another great example is in Japan, for example. The Japanese government is allowing many people from different countries to come into Japan. Let's say Vietnamese, Thai people, or Cambodians. They don't speak Japanese. With the systems, you can train people. You can make an expert out of anyone in their native tongue. And again, without having to invest in external hardware sensors. Convenience stores is a great example, again, of how we really are seeing that if a convenience store is benefiting and they can reduce their training costs, maintenance costs, and security costs within such a simple environment, we believe if we can prove savings in these environments, which are such low margin, we really can prove margins with bigger customers that we're seeing is already in the industry and manufacturing worlds, like on the factory side. So I cannot show you this part, but Bandai Namco, they produce gaming consoles in Japan. I cannot show you what they're doing in the factories, but they allowed me to show this example where they have gaming consoles and they also have gaming rooms. For insurance purposes, Japan is one of the few countries where actually people really follow to the T everything they need to do step by step. But if there's an accident where the children are playing or anything happens with one of the people who are in this environment, they can incur into big lawsuits. So with our system, they're completely digitalizing all of their processes and ensuring that the insurance company and the government entity responsible to monitor that these processes are being controlled, everything is digitalized and sent directly to these entities. We have great examples now. We're seeing great examples of clients that actually sell physical objects. So in this case, the clients, they assemble this kind of forklift trucks. And the first video is actually not linked to the second video, but it's very similar. So yeah, they can scan the physical item. And so before this forklift leaves the factory to the client, the employee has to make sure that it matches the order of the client. So because they are configurable, different, maybe I don't know if it's engine, electric, or gas, or different kind of situations. They make sure that before this is shipped to the client, every single one of the accessories has been followed according to the order. And more importantly, when the client receives the item, they tell them, we will extend your warranty of your product if you use our Inspectly system to do a monthly or a bi-monthly or a trimestral check to ensure that we can guarantee that the product is working in fine working order. Yeah, another example, hospitality industry would never think we would see these kind of industries using augmented reality. During COVID times, five-star hotels had such a hard time because there was a high demand for people to get out of the cities. They want to stay in hotels, but training people to get to a high five-star level standard is quite complicated. So yeah, this is an example of a great hotel. We've got a couple of hotels now running training routines and maintenance routines with mixed reality, and then the employees use a system on a phone to then execute their daily routines. Another example, gyms, and I know it's not factories in this case, but I just want to show you the ample deployment of these kind of tools now with different industries. So in gyms, the main purpose here is health and safety. You want to make sure the toilets are clean. You want to make sure fire extinguishers are in the right place. You want to make sure the equipment is in the right place. All of this is done with the exact same software. This software is completely editable. It doesn't matter if you have a engine factory or you have a convenience store or whatever, an amusement park. It's all the same software. You are completely free to create your routines or training or onboarding routines. Now, what we see as the future is also a gamified experiences for the employees. Augmented reality and digital twins allow us to empower people. We truly believe that the idea of having repetitive tasks is quite boring, and it can lead to people being unsatisfied with their jobs and a high rotation of employees within certain environments. Especially if you're recruiting young people, they're far more digital than ever before. So this is an example of what we're thinking in the future. We deployed this with a casino in Las Vegas. They're using our system for preventive maintenance within the machines and within the back area, the hidden areas of the casino. But yeah, we're now figuring out if we can use this to entertain the employees. So instead of having to go and check machine by machine every single time, you'll be playing a fish game. So you're going to go from one point to another. Every time you check the machine, every time you do maintenance on the machine, you'll be accumulating points that could translate into further how do you call this? Bonuses, financial bonuses or rewards for the people. So I thought I had a few more slides and I was speaking a bit too fast. I just realized I jumped through some of them super fast. But yeah, most of these videos are online. Or no, if not, we can send them to you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of these deployments in different industries. So feel free to, if you have any questions on how we're doing this thing, or you want me to go back in one of these slides, please feel free to let me know. And I'm open to any questions for now. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a show, David. I mean, fantastic. I've been amazed at all the kind of opportunities. I mean,
let me switch.
Sector. Fantastic. Thanks. So, as you said, I mean, over to you in the audience, I mean, to open up for any questions you might have. Just raise your hand or speak up and take the questions from there. Otherwise, I think, I had another one here. I could go first. What is the fastest sort of client deployment you have made with your system?
Yeah, I mean, the system with your technology, with PTC, it's quite simple now to even use an iPad with LiDAR, which makes it extremely easy because anyone with an iPad can scan a location. So to give you an idea, a tiny convenience store, it would take you 7 minutes to scan a convenience store that is maybe 100 square meters. And that's then transitioning from deploying your training and maintenance routines. That's just, opening a laptop and doing it. Within a day, you could already have 30% of this. In a tiny store, you could within 2-3 days, you could already up and running, have your employees. So in a factory, the fastest thing we've done is maybe 10 days between scanning, digitalizing a few things and testing them for a few departments. So that's the fastest we've done in a factory environment.
Fantastic, thanks. Another question also from the audience. I mean, artificial intelligence is a buzzword. I mean, now, as you all know, do you see any kind of practical uses at this stage in combining, I mean, with XR and digital twins, for instance?
Yeah, so AI is already incorporated into what we're doing in two ways. One is we are analyzing clients' data, so we have more predictive maintenance, which I think is the future. So right now, most environments, you have someone with a checklist, and they're like, okay, Monday, I need to go here. 7 a.m. Then 9 a.m. do this. Then 3 p.m. do this. Then Tuesday do this. But in reality, if let's say you change light bulbs or a machinery or whatever, why do they need so much revisions if it's all new? So the idea with AI is that we can start analyzing when products have been replaced, when data has been maintained, and we could eventually connect to ThinkWorks, for example, with IoT. And then so the staff Monday morning, go here and change the light bulb. At 7 p.m., go and do A, B, C, and D. So it would depend more on the urgency of the building than having a preset routine. And the other part of AI is, of course, if you look at let's say if you look at a factory, an automotive factory, or you look at a shoe factory, if you look at a factory making components for the maritime industry, many routines are very similar. From start with cleaning a toilet, or start with just so AI can help us to create already routines that are preset by industry within this kind of systems. And so it would just ask you, what industry are you in? How many employees do you have? And it could already output a checklist based on the experience of other users using this platform. What would best fit your environment that you can still modify, but it will make your life much easier so you don't have to digitalize everything from scratch.
Thanks. We had another question here also from Vishal. Do you have any solutions for diagnostics and troubleshooting of equipments?
So yes, as long as it's connected to ThinkWorks, for example, because that's where you have real-time IoT data. Yeah, right. These all depends on, is your machine smart, and is it sending us data? As long as we can send us data, we can visualize it. We can then, for example, create an alert and create a dynamic routing to send the staff to that machine. And if they don't know how to do this, how to repair the machine, the system will show them and guide them step by step on how they could do it. So yes, we could do that, for example.
Thanks. And also another question from Kamlesh. Do you have an experience on mixed reality using holographic projections rather than using HoloLenses or phones?
Oof, I didn't understand the question very well. Like holographic, like a disc is like a projector?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could speak up. I think. I mean, Kamlesh.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
please. Thanks.
So I think one way of overlaying reality maybe is using holographic images or projections. So in many use cases that we see in AR, the users sometimes feel a disability in using either phones because their one hand is already engaged, or maybe when they use HoloLenses that they wear kind of it over their body. So with using holographic technology, I guess the users of the AR or the mixed reality solutions would be freed up from this burden, I would say, and
yes,
the extent would be more.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. That is a big plus of the systems with projection. I would argue the problem with digitalization is that it's always associated with very high hardware and maintenance and installation costs. So if you're as a client, you say, you know what, I have a lot of money and I can put projects everywhere and I don't mind about the energy costs and I don't mind if this projector fails, someone's gonna have to come and repair it. I think that is a strategic decision. In our case, what we're offering is a system where you don't have to touch any physical infrastructure. All you do is you scan and you rely on a phone. It's not perfect, but it's so much cheaper in terms of maintenance, installation, and recurring updates, for example. But I think you're right. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be cool, right? If people are completely free and they just visualize things in space. But technically, the deployment and the cost of that, I think it can be quite high. So that depends more on the company's strategy, I would say.
Okay, thanks for your answer.
Yeah, thank you.
And another one here from Wilson. How does digital twins has digital twins been helpful in manufacturing?
Yeah. So right now the issue with digital twins is that when you make a digital twin of your facility, you have a static digital twin, so you can visualize it, right? But that's it. I mean, you can maybe, of course, you can connect IoT data, but it's okay. Let's say there's a digital twin with LiDAR. If you have a digital twin where someone does real-time 3D modeling of every machine and every component, like one of the things that we do at Visionaries, custom projects, it's much more expensive, but then you can do a lot more things, right? Because you have virtual worlds where you could move around the machines, you could plan the manufacturing, so that's fine, then it adds more value. So the static digital twin with LiDAR is the one we're focusing on right now. And this one, when you just scan a physical location, we believe that we have a great solution to not just scan it one time and leave it there sleeping, because you can reuse this digital twin every single day as a navigation purpose. Now, of course, if you do plan to move your manufacturing, you may have to scan that area again. So one of the things we're doing with PTC that PTC enabled us to do very easily is, in a facility, you wouldn't have to scan the whole factory again. you would just scan that point cloud area where you've modified some machinery and then update that so your digital twin would just be intact, just divide into different areas. But as I said, digital twins are two. One where you use a LiDAR scanner and it's static, and you just can look at it, but you cannot interact with it. The more advanced one is real-time 3D, where you can look at the machinery moving, you can look at all these things, move parts around. But that one, for sure, cost-wise, is far more expensive, right? I mean, with LiDAR, you're talking about scanning a facility within 1 day. Doing a real-time 3D model would take you months of a whole facility with all the machinery.
Thank you, David. Another question also from Fabio. To build the content of the training, do you have industry experts in Spectly, or are you supported just by the customer?
So we, as you saw from the videos, we have deployments in so many industries, like it's insane, right? I didn't even show you, we've got like pharmaceutical labs, we've got now an airport, so it is impossible for us to be experts in all these things. What we can tell you is that the vast majority of protocols are executed by, you already have this. So let's say your routine, your training routine, this already exists. What we help you with is how to digitalize it so it works in augmented reality. But we're not experts. Yeah, we cannot be experts in every industry, right? We'll just help you translate it into our world. But we expect that a client would come to us and they already know what needs to be maintained and what are the routines for how do you train people. And we just help them translate it into our world, I would say.
Thanks. Where do you see the tech is going in the next 3 years, both when it comes to hardware and also when it comes to software?
So, I think next year with Apple Vision Pro, the release, this will be like a tidal wave of investment in the tech world. So you'll see Samsung, you'll see every hardware company being like, okay, we need to invest in this. There's going to be a lot of problems in miniaturization of this technology. I suspect by the year, so we're talking about 24, 25, 26. By the end of 2026, we should have a B2B mixed reality hardware, which is 50% smaller than Microsoft HoloLens currently. And the battery lasts much longer, and you have a much, at least for 3 to 4 times wider field of view than the Microsoft HoloLens. That's where I think we'll get in the B2B side in 3 years' time. To be honest, on the software side, we are so advanced, like companies between PTC and ourselves, we are just waiting for the hardware to come out because software is just so much easier. We keep pushing the boundaries. Our limitation is hardware. But as I said at the beginning, many clients still believe that until they don't have mixed reality glasses, they will not deploy this strategy, the infrastructure. That's not true. I can tell you right now, you can do a lot with the hardware that's available right now. It's more of a mindset. And I don't think we have the solution for everything. But the earlier you start investing in testing these technologies, the more successful you'll be in rolling out a long-term strategy from our point of view.
Right, thanks. And also another question here, you have clients in various kind of industries. What are the top sort of reasons why they are given when deploying XR in their companies?
I think number one is overall, how do we become more competitive? Our competitors and us are maybe doing something very similar. How do we become more competitive? It's all about investing in people. So, because if you invest in, everyone talks about digitalization, Industry 4.0 in a factory, great. Where are you going to get all that investment to invest all that hardware? But if you talk about digitalization in people, what we're doing is we're investing in your employees, right? How do we digitalize the knowledge transfer? How do we make your staff more efficient? And so that's number one. How do we become more competitive? And number two is, competitiveness comes with, more digitalization. We want to recruit younger staff who are far more digital. We want to become more profitable. So I would say number one is competitiveness. And second one, then there's a lot of micro little things that leads to that because of your being more competitive in the market.
Right, thanks. I think we have one last question here, and that relates to who should actually, get involved, from the customer side to, really be running a successful XR product based on your sort of experience.
So the question was what, sorry?
Yeah, what kind of titles and roles, should get involved?
Yeah. So far what we've seen is you do get, let's say, innovation teams involved, or people who are at the top. Because a CFO would be like, dude, you can save me 10%, 20% in training costs. I'm all in. Prove it to me, and let's go ahead. Let's just do a POC. Let's prove the numbers, and that's it, right? And I think those, a combination of, let's say, the top management or innovation people. But one key thing is you need a champion within the organization who is going to be doing the follow-up, because these systems work when somebody is using it every single day and we're collecting the data. We can then say, listen, we've used this thing for 2 months, and this is the proof. Proof is in the pudding. We're not selling beautiful magical potions. It's all about data, and that you need someone who's following this thing. So I would say the key component is one person who is a champion, who really wants to understand how this works and sees the value. I would say that's the one person I would really highly recommend in this deployments.
Thanks a lot, David. And actually, time is unfortunately running out quicker than expected. So
time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly, you're right about that. So thanks everyone for joining, and of course a big special thanks to you, David, for sharing a lot of super exciting things here.
Thank you.
So with that, I hope to see you back already next week, and that will be a talk about growing the blue economy and saving the ocean using AI.
Yes.
So with that, stay tuned, and hope we will have a fantastic weekend, everyone. So bye for now. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.